Bitcoin and Drivechains, from central planning to spontaneous order. A Hayekian case for BIP 300 and 301. I want to start with a simple question. Who decides what Bitcoin can do? Today, Bitcoin runs on a single rule set determined by the de facto consensus protocol, Bitcoin Core, and that rule set determines a lot. It determines which transactions are valid. It determines which features ship, whether you can have privacy, smart contracts, scaling, or tokens. It determines which trade-offs every user has to live with, block size, fees, programmability, and it even determines which experiments are possible in the first place. Bitcoin Core's consensus process operates by veto, not by a market test. Any proposed features can be blocked by a vocal minority. As a result, soft fork activation has become slow and political. To understand why that's a problem, I want to start with F.A. Hayek. Hayek was an Austrian economist and Nobel laureate, and his central insight was that the fundamental economic problem isn't allocation, it's knowledge. As he said, "The knowledge of the circumstances of which we must make use never exists in concentrated or integrated form, but solely as the dispersed bits of incomplete and frequently contradictory knowledge which all the separate individuals possess." The implication is simple. Markets discover what works through competition. Order emerges from the bottom up. It is not designed from the top down. Any committee that picks one rule set for everyone is, by definition, acting as a planner. Now apply Hayek's calculation problem to Bitcoin. Without a market test, who actually knows which features are worth shipping? Consider three categories of feature requests Bitcoin has faced. Privacy. Should Bitcoin have confidential transactions? Coin join by default. Mimble-wimble-style transactions. Programmability, covenants, generalized smart contracts, restricted opcodes, scaling, bigger blocks, different mempool policy, new Layer 2 designs. On all three, the answer has been the same: rejected or stalled. The planner has to guess. The market never gets to vote. This isn't theoretical. Look at the backlog of opcode proposals that have sat for years without a path to activation. OPCTV, OPCAT, OP Vault, OP CheckSig from Stack, and more. Real engineering work, no consensus to ship. The numbers tell the story. Between 2012 and 2016, Bitcoin shipped roughly 6 soft forks: P2SH, BIP34, BIP65, BIP66, CSV. That's a new capability about every 10 months. Between 2017 and today, that's 9 years, there have been exactly 2. SegWit and Taproot. That's it. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's price growth has slowed. From 2013 to 2017, Bitcoin grew roughly 75 times, from about $13 to $1,000. From 2017 to now, it's grown about 5 times, from $19,000 to roughly $100,000. Stasis isn't safety. It's the predictable result of central planning. Fewer features means less utility growth, which means less price growth. So, where did the demand go? Bitcoin's stasis has created its own competition. Every major altcoin is a feature request Bitcoin refused to consider. Ethereum was programmability that Bitcoin wouldn't ship. Monero and Zcash were privacy that Bitcoin wouldn't ship. Solana, BSC, and the rest were throughput that Bitcoin wouldn't ship. Each one drains liquidity, developers, and mindshare from BTC. The clearest case is Bitcoin Cash. BCH was born of the 2017 block size war. A faction of users wanted larger blocks for cheaper payments. Core refused. The result was a contentious hard fork that permanently split liquidity and developers. With a Drivechain, the larger block experiment could have been an opt-in sidechain, and Bitcoin Cash might never have needed to exist. That brings us to Drivechains. Drivechains are a protocol-level mechanism that lets users opt into different rule sets without disturbing Bitcoin itself. The Bitcoin main chain stays the same. Same conservative consensus, same monetary policy. but up to 256 side chains can run alongside it, each with its own rule set connected by a two-way peg. The proposal comes in two parts. BIP 300 hash rate escrows defines the native two-way peg between BTC and sidechains. Withdrawals are validated by Bitcoin miners over a roughly 3-month challenge window. BIP 301, blind merged mining, lets Bitcoin miners secure sidechains without running the sidechain software. Sidechain fees flow back to Bitcoin miners, which strengthens the main chain's security budget. It's a soft fork, it uses an unused opcode, and it's reversible if anything goes wrong. Here's how a sidechain experiment actually works in practice. Step 1. Anyone proposes a sidechain. No gatekeeper, no committee, no approval process. Step 2. Users move BTC into the sidechain voluntarily through the peg. Step 3. The sidechain operates under its own rules. Privacy, smart contracts, throughput, whatever its designers chose. Step 4. Users can move their BTC back to the main chain, a market-tested withdrawal. Each sidechain is a falsifiable experiment. Capital flows toward what works. What you end up with is Bitcoin as a marketplace of rule sets. Bitcoin remains the settlement layer, the unit of account. Around it, sidechains specialize: privacy, smart contracts, throughput, tokens, conservative chains, experimental chains. Some succeed, some fail. No central planner picks the winner. The market does. Failed sidechains lose capital. Successful ones absorb it. And Bitcoin itself remains untouched. This isn't a new pattern. We've seen it work in every domain where innovation thrives. The internet runs on TCP/IP, one thin, stable protocol. And on top of it, an explosion of applications competed: email, the web, streaming video, payments. The network never picked a winner. Users did. Markets work the same way. Entrepreneurs launch competing businesses in parallel. Consumers choose. No committee predicts which firms will win. Capital flows to what works. And biology is the original example. Mutations occur in parallel. Selection pressure decides what survives. No designer ranks species in advance. Diversity is the engine of fitness. Drivechains bring this same pattern to Bitcoin's feature set: stable foundation, permissionless experimentation, selection by users. There's one more Hayek quote that gets at the heart of this. Competition is a discovery procedure, a procedure for discovering facts which, if it did not exist, would remain unknown, or at least would not be put to use. That is exactly what sidechains are. They let the market discover what users actually want. Failure is local. The main chain is untouched. Success is portable. Winning ideas inform future soft forks. Users stay in Bitcoin, and the experiments compete with one another. The market replaces the committee as the unit of selection. Let me steelman the critics. Critics argue that Bitcoin isn't literally centrally planned. They argue drivechains increase miner influence over pegouts. They argue added complexity introduces new attack surface, and they argue that changing miner incentives may create unintended risks. These are real concerns. They deserve real answers. Here's the reframe. The claim isn't that Bitcoin is state-style central planning. The claim is that Bitcoin's innovation process is bottlenecked, because one conservative consensus process must pre-approve every experiment. Miners already secure the chain. BIP 300 just makes their role in pegouts explicit and auditable. The main chain stays minimal. Complexity lives on opt-in sidechains, and sidechain fees strengthen, not weaken, the security budget. Drivechains protect Bitcoin's conservatism by giving experimentation somewhere else to go. To close, Bitcoin without drivechains is a monetary network designed by committee. Bitcoin with drivechains is a monetary network shaped by its users. BIP 300 and 301 don't impose any feature. They make experimentation possible. This is the Hayekian shift, from designing the order to enabling its emergence. To find out more, go to drivechain.info or check out BIPs 300 and 301 on GitHub.